And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Insight on Business, the News Hour. My name is Michael Libby. I'm your host. And we're going to kick around here with a good friend of ours all the way from Houston, Texas. Our friend is Karen McCullough. And Karen is a professional speaker who began her career, if I remember correctly, Karen, in retail, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little, give your elevator speech to us while we take a look at your photograph so that people can become more accustomed to who in the heck you are.
Well, right now I am a speaker. I've been speaking since 2000 professionally. My tagline is that I open conferences, meetings, and minds. So I speak on change, and I speak on the generations, and I speak on technology. So I kind of have a gamut of everything that's going on right now and how people can adapt to change. And
you've been doing this for, tell me about, give us the retail pitch. Back in the day, what were you doing?
The retail pitch is interesting. I went to Ohio State University, and there was a new store that opened. I'm not going to tell you the year, but there was a new store that opened down the street. It was called The Limited. And I applied, so while I was in college, I worked at the first Limited with Leslie Wexner, and I got retail in my blood. I graduated from Ohio State. I got a master's in library science, which is kind of interesting. Because there are no librarians left in the world, are there?
I don't think so.
They're media centers now. So anyway, I got this degree and moved to Houston and decided to open a store. I heard there was no zoning in Houston, so I opened in my house. And there was zoning in our neighborhood, so they shut me down. And I decided to open a little shop. And we did monograms. So I brought a little piece of Ohio and what I knew best and how I was raised, really preppy. I brought that to Houston. And it was amazing. Back in the 80s, there was really no internet, so there was no web. So everybody just came to this little house, and eventually I moved into a store. And in the end, I had 4 stores.
Isn't that so this whole idea of you driving change and driving traffic kind of comes naturally, wouldn't you think?
It does. And because I had preppy shops, Ralph Lauren, I learned a lot about branding. And I learned a lot. We didn't call it branding back then. It was just the way you did business. It was your culture. But I learned a lot about that, and I learned a lot about the emotional connection and how to get people not only into your store, but staying there a long time, which is kind of what we're trying to do right now, right?
Absolutely.
With our video. And all. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was really a natural for me.
So that switch from doing preppy stores that started out of your home into public speaking, why? How did that happen?
Well, preppy died. It was all Madonna's fault. Really, when Madonna sang Like a Virgin, and she had on that wedding gown and MTV, you think about all the things that really went on back in the 80s with television and video, and it really, they say, video killed the radio. Well, video killed my store, because kids saw Madonna and they didn't want to be preppy anymore. So my business started to dwindle. And then after Madonna came casual dress, Bill Gates. I'm sure it was him. He told everyone that as long as they worked 24/7, they could wear anything they wanted to work. And people stopped dressing up for work. And so my store really became out of touch, and it was irrelevant. And it's interesting because things today are irrelevant. So it's kind of like I started feeling all of this in the 80s, and it's really going on right now because things are changing so quickly. So I decided that I needed to get out of retail. I didn't want to start a whole new look. And I had to look at my talent, and what I did really well was marketing, and really attracting people to work with me. I love staff meetings. Nobody ever quit. I think I was a pretty good boss. And so I took all that talent that I had, the marketing and the understanding the employee, and I decided to become a speaker because I would have no inventory and no rent. I could do it out of my house,
sure.
And it was me. And it was not as easy as I thought it was going to be, but I stuck with it, and 13 years later, I love what I do.
I imagine you do. Has it really been that long? 13 years?
I've been doing this. I started in 2000. And then Enron and 9/11 hit in 2001. So really, I started in 2002.
Yeah, it's and what a ride it's been. You have had the opportunity to speak at some Fortune 500 companies, haven't you?
I've really had some great opportunities, and sometimes I scratch my head. How did I get there?
Yeah, how'd you do that?
The internet. It was all I found you online. Procter & Gamble was my favorite client, and they brought me back a few times. And the first time I got the call, I was at an airport in D.C., and it was a group of women who were watching. They were looking at me on the internet, and I had one little video up there, and they were watching it. And most of my, I would say my traction, if you're looking at a graph, I was like, humming along. Somebody would tell somebody, and then somebody else would tell somebody about me.
Word of mouth, sure.
But it wasn't until really the internet, and I started learning about search engine optimization and really trying to get my name out there first when you typed in generational speaker or change speaker. And lots of people, that's how they found me.
And it's working well. Our guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Karen McCulloch. Karen is live with us from Houston, Texas. We're talking about how she marketed herself, how she took herself from a ho-hum existence as a professional speaker to a skyrocketing star all over the United States. And her utilization of video is one of the things that really captivated us when we took a look at this. When we come back, we're going to share with you two different things. One, she's not only a speaker, she's also an author, so we'll talk about her book. And number two, we'll show you the video and talk about how well she's done with this. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just putting up video for video's sake, don't bother. We'll show you how you should do it when we come back. This is Insight on Business, the News Hour. My name is Michael Libby. It's all powered by our advertising agency, Insight Advertising, Marketing, and Communications. Back right after this.